INXS Access All Areas, episode 184, the podcast that aims to dive deep in all things great about this rock band INXS, gets them into the Hall of Fame, and doing it with a bunch of loyal listeners and my partner B. Hello, how are you? Episode 184, B, we're nearly getting to 200.
Wow, yes, we are. Yes, great episode last week with our friends. It was lovely having the panel of guys from Australia. Where have you gone, Hayden? I'm talking to a blank wall.
I've just shut the door at my office so that little background noise wouldn't get in the way. But yes, that's what I'm doing right now, B. But yeah, it was a great episode, wasn't it? Thanks to all the people who jumped on.
Yeah, thank you, boys. It was really good fun. Darren got back in touch. He loved the fact that I put the relax edit over him talking. So that's the song that whenever I hear it now, I'll be thinking of Darren.
We had Brett, from Tasmania/Victoria on. We had obviously Darren. We had the two Darrens. The two Darren Joes, didn't we? The Darren Joseph and the Darren Jones.
Yes.
And then we had Dr. Jim, the recent recipient of the Hall of Fame tickets, which I guess don't include INXS, but maybe they do if it's next year. I guess the swing bee, it's been quite a fun week just with that episode going out because I do know there's been, through the media in 40 years, there's been some really cool articles there. And just for the listeners' benefit, I did want to highlight a cool article that was written that you can go and check out, which really does good justice to the album. It's written by a guy called Steve Bell from The Music, which is an online publication. He talks about 40 years of the swing and its effect and the band and the growth and, the cultural sort of impact of that album. So, and we might have a few nuggets at the end of the show today, B, that relate to the swing, but I'll hold fire on that for the moment. INXS desk this week because I'm looking in your room there and your desk has never looked cleaner. So I said to B at the start of recording today, and this is not great for listeners, but I said, are you recording in a different room today? And B says, no, I just cleaned the room. but it wasn't messy. It was very inaccessified. But B, you've got friends from Japan and people coming out and you've sort of cleaned up your recording area. But on a more important level to our listeners, what INXS stuff's come across your desk this week?
Not a lot, really. I mean, we've just been working through the socials. I'm looking forward to speaking to Danielle later and outing some of these people. So, Dean, don't you worry, we'll be talking about you and a lovely girl called Renee. I've also put some things out there on the post. So, we'll talk about it all later.
I did want to do a little bit of a shout out to a lot of the people who've been engaging sort of on our platforms. And I do know that the swing episode, particularly for our Australian listeners, who grew up with that album, it does sort of resonate and speak to the very core of their INXS fandom. For listeners who are from overseas who rediscovered the album a little bit or forgotten a bit about it, we hope that episode is something that you've enjoyed. And also make sure you go back to past episodes to check out our review, which I think was episode 7. And then also our Nick Launay episode, which was, I think, a double there a couple of years ago, where we delved deep on that. Plus with Philip Mortlock, who was very intrinsic around the swing album. So there are little nuggets, if you did enjoy last week's, to go back and explore furtherly all things the swing.
Fantastic. But our lovely Paul Jolie is in hospital. He's hurt his arm and it looks like, I think it's arthritis or something like that in the end. But we thought it was something bad. But, I don't think his drumming days are over just yet.
Well, I was about to say, it might be from extra drumming or from all the darts he's been smoking over the journey because lifting his arm up. Because no one loves a dart more than Paul.
Do you realise it's in 4 bands?
Well, I was about to say also too, he won't like me saying this, but probably nobody's been, he'd be in the top 3 of generous patrons and people to our podcast over the journey. So we do wish you well, Paul.
Yeah, I think nearly everybody that is a drummer is amazing. I love all you drummer boys.
Fantastic. All right, well, we've got a big jam-packed show today, something very interesting today, and I think you're excited about this one because we've been very musical in the last month. A few of our listeners said, can you get back into the music a bit more? And, I know you've had a lot of guests we love, but we love to hear about INXS songs and stuff. So we thought it was appropriate, B, today to unleash and finalise our INXS Michael, the band, the 6 members, the deep dive tracks that finalised the ultimate INXS Spotify playlist. And we thought we would dive deep on that a little bit later today and put a few different slants on it and just share that out as our official final list. We recognise the JD Fortune years and the Kieran years and all that sort of stuff, but this is probably the quintessential list that relates to Michael and the band. So looking forward to sharing that with you, B, and I guess learning how to access a Spotify playlist myself.
You're so technically challenged, aren't you,
There's
Hayden?
sincerity in that question, you know.
I know,
That's why you're
I
laughing.
know.
Okay.
And there's sincerity in my laugh.
And I'm an old CD record vinyl guy and tapes, but yes, looking forward to learning how to access that. But B, what's it time for?
It's time for the news.
All right, B, well, for the first time ever in 184 episodes, we do have news, of course, but I've broken into two sections, okay? I've broken into News A, which is YouTube, and then Part B is all news and other areas. So the reason why I've done that, B, on YouTube of late, and again, through a lot of Google INXS alerts, there is so much material and so much stuff that's being uploaded via YouTube. So I just wanted to share this sort of stuff, and a lot of it's from the record company. A lot of it's very official stuff. Some is from, listeners out there who are using the forum of YouTube to share stuff. So without further ado, I'll just share a breakdown of about 6 or 8 or 9 different bits of YouTube INXS news. First thing, there's a great INXS YouTube review list of Kick, track by track. If you put in sort of track by track Kick on YouTube, there's a great review of that particular album there that I do encourage. Secondly, I think also, so over the last 12 months at different stages, and then even over the last few weeks, there's a thing called INXS Extended Remixes on YouTube. So if you put that into your search engine, Extended Remixes, you'll have a bunch of remixes that have all been uploaded as recently as the last 2-3 weeks and upwards of the last 6-12 months. There's some interesting ones in there I hadn't heard before, or some that had sort of been filed away on old albums in the garage and things. So I encourage that one to be explored. Thirdly, B, do you know, and I don't know if we've ever spoken about this, but in 1983, INXS were involved at a concert at the Sydney Myer Music Bowl called the Drop Concert. And it was really about avoiding dropping the bomb. It was sort of Midnight Oil, INXS, and a couple other bands. Now, there's some recent footage that's just been uploaded of that, where INXS are singing To Look at You, Stay Young, Black and White. And it's early 1983, and I do remember this concert at the time. A little bit young to go to it, but it was one of those sort of quite cultural moments when, as you know, in England, the UK, and America, the bomb was a real thing in our lives, wasn't it? You know, growing up. It was only 35, 38 years since the previous bomb had been dropped.
Yeah.
You know, the threat of nuclear warfare was something that, you know, as teenagers we grew up with. So concerts like this were quite relevant at the time. So it is under YouTube, the Drop concert, and there's some great footage of Michael singing his theme, which is really, really cool. Continuing with the YouTube theme, there's a great interview for the song Devil Inside, and it's Andrew being interviewed via Florida Today, which is, I think, a morning show in Florida. So that's available on YouTube. INXS B, they've advertised on YouTube, but they're playing on June the 15th at the Palms, which is exciting. And we went to see them, I think, last year, didn't we, at the Palms? Is that right?
Is it only a year ago? I think it was.
Only a year ago. Maybe it was 2 years ago.
I think it's 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago? Okay. I reckon it was, we did go, because that's where you met Scotty for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the same day, ironically, B, in America on June the 15th, and this was sort of put out on YouTube as well as an advertorial plus, you know, through Google, the band Mystify, a cover band in America, which I guess is mirrors the same band name in Australia. But on June 15th in America at the Gladstone Record Bar in Missouri, Mystify are playing an INXS cover show. So I thought that was nice symmetry to share.
Nice. I like that.
Now, we all love the first reaction videos, don't we? You know, when someone hears an INXS song for the first time, there are a bunch of these. I'm just going to share a bunch of them with you. There's one where...
We should do the opposite, you know, Hayden. A reaction to music now.
Right. I think our mouths will just be left open. You know? But there's if you put in first reaction on YouTube and write new sensation INXS, a great one will come up. If you put one in for What You Need on YouTube, one will come up. If you put one in for Never Tear Us Apart, you'll get one as well. There's another site there called Mike's Musical Reaction. This is hilarious. This one's for Elegantly Wasted. This is really, really cool. Who's listening to that for the first time? Also, another one for Mystify, Reaction Clip, and Burn For You. There's another one for Need You Tonight with Andy and Alex, first time reaction.
Alex, a boy or a girl?
I don't know. I haven't seen that one.
Oh, okay.
But there is one that I like the most, and I'll leave this as the last sort of YouTube sort of promo thing. There's one for Just Keep Walking, and it's a guy called YouTube Independent Artist. That's what he refers himself as, and he dances as he reacts It's 16 minutes, and he praises INXS, and he compares his great vocals, Michael's great vocals, to hip hop.
Right.
And his cadences and rhythm in his voice and the rhythm and sort of choppy delivery. And he makes a big link between Michael, who has really hip-hop chops.
I'm going to look this guy up now.
Just keep walking. And he's
I'm going to look him up.
He's a real grungy artist called The Independent Artist, and he dances as he reacts. And over 16 minutes, he pauses the song and breaks it down. It's worth a listen. So
You've watched it.
all of that and all the first reaction shows, as B's looking this one up, I encourage you to look at them, because there's nothing better than people discovering something that you know is pretty cool. And we love our INXS and we love their music. So when somebody sees a song or hears something for the first time, and look, some of these people know of INXS in these first reaction shots, they just don't know the song, or they don't know the versatility of the songs, that they had in their repertoire. So again, do yourself a favour, go to YouTube, put them on. They do put a smile on your face, and it is enjoyable seeing other people enjoy them be.
Excellent.
All right, now into other sort of general news. I'll rip through this as well. We didn't do a news section last week, obviously, with the swing recording of the anniversary. Bit of a shout out to the Petition guys. They're up to about 18,000, I think, B. The goal's sort of 25,000. So if you're anyone who's listening to this podcast and you're not aware, there is a petition called Induct INXS to the Rock Hall of Fame under the change.org, petition sort of site. If you haven't signed anyone up, or anyone in your family hasn't done it, do yourself a favour. A couple of signatures extra by everybody who listens in will actually only add to the momentum and the groundswell that is going on behind the scenes.
And there's a link in our description each week, so you can just click on that.
That's right. And there's a great little sort of page there where you'll see different little articles and excerpts of bands and artists, like one of David Lee Roth dancing to New Sensation, things like that. So,
in fact, I've just had this one pop up of some young kids doing Just Keep Walking by INXS, which Induct INXS have posted. So, yeah, that was pretty cool too.
A couple of articles. There's a publication called the Classic Pop Magazine. You can get that on Instagram. I think it was downloaded, this article, about 5 days ago for the public. There's a good article there going through the INXS back catalogue where they talk about their first 4 albums. A good read if you do want to open that up, and it's sort of via the Instagram link to Classic Pop Magazine. Also, I listened to a podcast yesterday called Full Moon Dirty Hearts. It was a podcast titled Dig Me Out, and it was related to 90s albums. So they've done a lot of albums and things like that through their theme of discovering 90s albums or lost classics. I was listening to this podcast yesterday. The gentleman on there was called Darren, and halfway through the podcast, I'm listening going, is that bloody Darren Jones? Anyway, for the rest of the podcast, I'm thinking it was Darren Jones, because the accuracy and the detail was really good. But there were a couple of things where I'm like, oh, no, he's made some mistakes there or got something wrong.
Darren wouldn't do that.
Couldn't answer. And I thought, no, it's not Darren. Anyway, I think it was Darren Nelson when I got to the end of the episode and found out.
Gosh.
Now, I will warn people, the people hosting the podcast are a couple of Americans. They do refer to Michael through the whole podcast as Michael Hutchison. So that was a bit grating. But the 2 guys on it did listen to the albums, and it was sort of quite good because they hadn't really heard the albums before, and they gave them pretty good reviews, and they did sort of give the podcast it wasn't one of those curse reviews, like they'd gone off for a week or 2 and listened to the album and come to the table with a lot of really good feelings and vibes for the album. So do encourage that to go listen to. We do know a good friend of INXS, Tim Peacock from Discover Music, has updated his Elegantly Wasted annual piece where he sort of says this is an underrated album. And I don't know if he's cut and pasted the same album review and article a year later, but it has been updated for a mid-April 2024 republication. So if you haven't seen that, Tim Peacock, Elegantly Wasted, New Discover Music, underrated album at the time, bears a revisit. The last couple of things, there's a great publication called The Music. They do and have recently rated the 11 best Australian music documentaries, which the Mystified documentary gets a high placing in that. And also another one that Richard Lowenstein did was called Autoluminescence, which was based on Roland S. Howard. He's the guy who wrote the very famous song Shiver that Nicolas Cage sung with the birthday party. That was a great doco that Richard did. Is also rated very highly in that publication. B, the other day, did you see me post something about the INXS reference on the banner, the Collingwood Football Club?
Oh, yes,
Melbourne
I did.
had
Yeah.
an INXS reference on their banner.
Yeah, I didn't understand it. Can you explain it, please?
Essentially, if you do go to our socials, you'll see it. The team we play against is Port Adelaide. Now, Port Adelaide play Never Tear Us Apart 60 seconds before every bounce
Yes.
at their home games. This just happened to be my team's home game, so they were doing a bit of a play on the word INXS.
Gotcha.
And
Black and white and stuff.
About our turf and things like that. So it was just a little reference there.
Sorry, it threw me because it started about black and white, and I was like,
well, it did a bit too.
Deep dive.
Well, it's an INXS song, but it's also reference to our colours, black and white. So it is a clever banner. So it does
it's a
touch
very clever banner. We'll put that up. Can I put it on the social?
You can. Dr. Jim liked it, but nice and close to home. My footy team and my favourite band. All right, now it is the end of April. We do want to do a bit of a shout out to all the birthday people, and we will be very dignified by not mentioning their ages because they're all very vain. They're in the music industry, but all of these people have had another year celebrated in April. I'll get the kitschy one out of the way first. B. Susan Boyle, your favourite.
I wondered what B was for. My favourite, your favourite.
I held that one back
Come
there.
on.
Okay.
You want to take her out for a drink?
She's the only kitschy one on there that I've mentioned. But Agnetha, or Anna, as we knew as a kid from ABBA, she's got a birthday this month. John Oates, the porn star from Hall & Oates, happy birthday. Lisa Stansfield, a great singer from the UK.
Yeah.
Samantha Fox.
One of your favourites.
Helped a lot of young men get through a very difficult
I bet she did.
Their teenage years. Robert Smith from The Cure, still putting lipstick on at 65. Cool. Hello, Robert. Peter Frampton, just inducted to the Hall of Fame the other day in terms of being announced.
Good one.
Hello, Peter. Bjorn, Anna's ex-husband from ABBA.
Oh, wow.
Busy April back in the ABBA days for Bjorn and Agnetha. Would have been Roy Orbison's birthday. Big O. Yeah, Roger Taylor, Duran Duran, Sheena Easton for our Scottish friends, Maynard James Keenan, he's one of the main guys who really runs the band Tool, Iggy Pop, good friend of Michael back in the day, Marvin Gaye, if he was still with us, Posh Spice B turned 50.
Yeah, she's doing well, isn't she? She looks
Linda
gorgeous.
Perry, songwriter to the Stars, and also wrote What's Going On for Four Non Blondes. Africa Bombada, he had a birthday as well. Matt Healy from 1975, a sort of a modern-day Michael to some degree. Hill Slovak, the first singer of the Chili Peppers, but he unfortunately passed away in 1988. He would have had a birthday. Mike McCready from Pearl Jam. Black Francis, lead singer of the Pixies. Izzy Stradlin, probably the original guy from Guns N' Roses who wrote a lot of the stuff in the early days. Albert Hammond Jr., the lead singer of the Strokes. Art Alexis, or Alexa Cassis. Okay, we'll go with that. From Everclear, he's had a birthday this month. Richie Blackmore from, I was going to say Deep Purple, but it's actually from Black Sabbath. Ed O'Brien from Radiohead, and Ace Frehley from Kiss had a birthday. So happy birthday to all of our April birthday musicians who did something good.
And a heavenly birthday, happy birthday to our Paula Yates.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, B. Well, that's it for the news for the week. Thank you for letting me know.
Hey, this is Tim Farris. Big shout out to Hayden and B. Also want to say hello to all the listeners and INXS fans. Thanks for listening. I love you, Hayden and B. You're doing a great job. Keep it up.
And we love you too, Tim. Thank you. And now it's time for Topic of the Week.
All right, B, we're getting musical again today. As we said during our sort of intro today, we're going to talk a little bit about our Spotify deep dive playlist. And for those listeners who are relatively new to us or haven't sort of been on the complete journey, one sort of theme that was quite apparent, B, in our early episodes was just when we were going back to review an album, just the cool songs that would appear on each album that maybe weren't singles, didn't have video clips, maybe didn't, cross into the public consciousness because, as I said, they weren't part of that singles release, but they were worthy of discussion, worthy of, separating from the pack and giving them a profile. So what we decided to do with all of our reviews from album 1 through to album 10, or pick out 2, 3, maybe 4, in some cases 5 songs off an album that we could just, as we went along, add them to this sort of on-you-go or as we went sort of Spotify playlist. But as you know, and as I do, we've sort of completed the Elegantly Wasted album some 3 to 6 months ago. So why don't we just put this into this final official playlist, and then also just have an episode talking about it today and acknowledging just the depth of material and what some of these songs mean to our listeners, meant to, I guess, true fans over the journey, and give it a profile.
I can't wait. And we're going to make this a bit more interactive with our fans.
Yeah, well, you had a really cool idea, and as we're sort of workshopping sort of things today, B had just sort of mentioned that, look, we've broken this particular deep dive playlist into, it's basically it's a quadruple album. So
it is.
When I say broken it down, we've probably broken it up. I guess through the 10 albums, if we put it simply, there's roughly 3.5 songs per album that have made this particular list. For example, off the first album, we'll go through in a moment, but we picked off, I think, 2 particular songs off the first album. We picked off 2 off the second, I think 4 off the third. So breaking all of it down, we've sort of come up with a 4-sided album, so to speak, basically 36 songs, sort of 9 songs on each sort of side. So we have side A, side B, side C, and side D. And if it wasn't an album format, it'd be sort of one of those sort of, or a CD format, you'd have sort of 4 discs and things. But the great thing about sort of playlists, I guess, as I'm learning, is you're not really restricted by what you would call available tape space or vinyl space or CD space. You really don't have any sort of restrictions when it comes to the packaging side that you do on a tactile type of device, do you?
Exactly. We can just keep adding, but we haven't. We're not going to add any more.
No.
This is the final cut. Is that right?
I did go back yesterday, as I said to B. It's been a few hours.
You cut them out.
Well, I did. I went back through all of our episodes where we did this, and it was actually a little bit of a forensic exercise, and sort of we've compiled them into the final list. But what we thought we'd like you to do today, listeners, is follow B's instructions in a moment, but jump onto Spotify. The list is up live. So if you go and open up the following link that B gives you, the final link is actually there with all the tracks. And what we'd love to do today is, in a way, talk about these tracks, but have you on your computer, on your phone, maybe being able to open up some of these tracks on a separate device as you're listening to us. So you might have your laptop there and you've got your phone in your hand, but we'd love to have you hearing these songs as we talk a bit about them, and we'll jump around a little bit on each song, but we'd love to make it interactive, and we'd love to sort of share with you this particular list that isn't just what B and I love. These are probably the same songs that our audiences and the wider consciousness of certain people in the public who've raved about INXS have loved. Other bands, particularly, have loved songs like Johnson's Aeroplane and, Shine Like It Does, like Sean Kelly did a cover of that. So some of these songs aren't just us or you. There are other bands who have covered them. There are tracks that maybe the band themselves, INXS, have loved, put on soundtracks and put on movie things. And in the Mystify one recently, there was quite a few of these tracks and made it on that Mystify soundtrack, that weren't official singles. So we hope that you enjoy this particular deep dive as we go into sharing. B, I guess over to you. How do the listeners, find this playlist before we start talking about it?
Okay, so guys, if you've come through the website, there should be a widget there for you to click onto, and you should be able to listen track by track as we go through them. If not, then we will have a link in the description for you to click onto. You can do now, get yourself ready before listening to the rest of the podcast.
All right. So for the sake of getting started, B, we've got our list there at the moment. Okay. So side A on the list, etc. There are first 9 songs. I've sort of themed this one up, B. I'll go through the songs in a moment, but I'm calling side A Innocence. I think going back and listening to some of these particular tracks, it was the first sort of, adjective that sort of, came across, my mind when I was listening to them. And I think song 1 on our list is we've got On a Bus there, which was really song 1, side 1, first album for INXS, and was such a breezy sort of poppy, ska type.
Boppy. And boppy.
Poppy and boppy, it is. But it's, it's a great lyric. It's, on a bus going around Sydney and taking the counts, taking to in all the northern beaches and all that sort of stuff. And it had that sense of innocence about it, this breeziness, this enthusiasm, this Aussie lifestyle attachment to it. So again, the theme of this particular side A is innocence. B, the second song we picked was that you've got
Learn to Smile.
Learn to Smile. Now, is there anything with that track that you liked that resonated with you from memory?
I love this track. I use it quite a lot. It's gorgeous. And in fact, we actually play out to it. So if anybody's ever wondered what's the song that we play out to,
yes,
which is Carry On Singing. We'll get Carry On Singing one day. Carry On Talking. That's Learn to Smile.
Yeah, and it's got this beautiful like keyboard wash of a sound there, and that big ending, learning how to smile, you know, that sort of big escalation.
It's one of their first climbs, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So definitely was, I remember at the time, it was unanimous. We didn't have to argue over that one between each other at all. Third song on side A, Innocence, is Horizons. I think this one, from listening back yesterday, really struck a chord with you. And again, I remember at the time when we were doing our review on the album, it did stand out to me as well. It was a longer song, and it was very much a ballad type song.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
But it was, again, a band starting to stretch themselves and grow and things like that.
Very romantic, if I remember rightly. I said.
Number 4, we had Barbarian. Now, I think I shared some anecdotes about this sort of coming out in the live set back in 93. A very aggressive song, very heavy bass with Gary there. The word barbarian, probably around that time you had the Conan movie, so it was a word that was entering the zeitgeist of our consciousness, but a song that had that sort of anthemic sort of chorus and showed the band sort of muscling up a bit on their second album.
I can't remember what I said, but I probably said a lot. Okay.
Well, I reckon you're going to know the next one, because this one was one of your little favourites.
This is a gem, isn't it?
We had Spy of Love next.
Yeah. Absolute gem of a song, Spy of Love. If you haven't listened to this and you're new to listening to INXS songs, this one is absolutely fantastic. And if you can watch the video as well, it's so much fun. It's
a very Englishy video with the bowler hat and the apple, and homage to the particular artwork in the 60s. And I think this could have actually been a single that got pulled and they replaced it with black and white, because interestingly, on the Swing and Other Stories, I don't think they have black and white on there as an official film clip. But a lot of the time when black and white came out as a clip, it was always a live one of them at Selena's or something like that playing. So I think this may have been originally going to be a single, Spy Love, but they changed it at the last minute for black and white. A Tim and Michael contribution too. Very much a little gem in their early days. Next one on here, this was a real favourite of Mark Opitz, I think, at the time, was Jan's song, which we loved, and he felt like this was the song where Michael really started believing himself as a vocalist.
Yes.
And he had, I think for that first time, he really backed his vocal. It had a freedom to it, and he backed his vocal range, and it had a really nice sort of tone to his octave range on it. This one, I think over the years, I know has been a real fan of people who love Shabu Shabar. Yeah,
you're right. It is. He's exploring his own vocals, isn't it, in this song? It's very interesting.
But it's the first one with Mark Opitz producing, and Mark, I do, again, going back yesterday and listening to the episode with Mark Opitz talking, he said it was probably that was the song where Michael grew as a lyricist, grew as a vocalist.
Yeah.
He decided to take some risks, I think, on the vocal delivery, which was great. All right, but the next one here, a great fan of Foxy in the US, Old World, New World, a John co-write, a great song, very tribal lyrics, very Red Indian, Cherokee influence flavoured, great chorus, and a great little forerunner beat to Don't Change that comes up after it.
That's right. And you and John had a little chat about this song as well, didn't you, when we had him on the show, John Farris?
Yes, absolutely. I was an absolute sycophant for that one.
You were.
Yes. All right. Next one on here was Tim, Andrew, and actually, Tim, John, and Michael track, Melting in the Sun. Very heavy sort of bass and thumping sort of guitars there. This one I know amongst, because it was the second song on the Swing, straight after Original Sin. It was a real popular track that a lot of people felt could have been a single at the time. I was a bit more staunch on this one than you at the time, B, but it's one that I still think sounds great and sounds fresh, and it's got a bit of
it's that great expectations bit. I still can't get my head around that part of the song. It still doesn't sit right for me.
It's haunting, that lyric, great expectations, and it's still got a few little wizardry things they've done on their first couple of albums on it.
Yes.
But it does lead into the last song on side A, which is The Swing. That one was a bit of a thumper, and all the band contributing on the songwrite for that. This particular one, as I said, was played on a lot of radio in Australia, so everybody knew it. Everybody knows the song. It's a bit like the Mystify equivalent in Australia off, the kick equivalent, where Mystify was never a single in Australia, but everybody knows it. The Swing was a song in Australia, everybody knew, didn't know it wasn't a single. So again, that 9-track sort of side A, as I said, it starts off that real innocence of the band and starting to emerge and grow and get more sophisticated by song 9.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, everybody, have a little pause.
Have a little pause. We'll get a drink of water and flip over. We'll go to side B.
Stronger.
I've named side B, calling it Emergence. Okay, so this is the band emerging with their sound, their songcraft, their musicality. And the first song on the second side here is Johnson's Aeroplane, which has been a bit of a topic of conversation over the last month for various reasons in terms of its rating in the top 25.
Top 25.
Correct. Probably the one I did cop a bit of flack with, but again, it's probably a musician's musician song. All the cover bands out there love this song, and I know the INXS boys play this every concert they've ever had. And this again was one of those deep tracks that was probably not commercial enough to be a single release, but was artistic enough to be a real musical achievement. And again, had to get onto this playlist. Next one, B, one of our favourites overall of all time, probably one in their top 5 and 10 favourite songs from INXS is Love Is What I Say, or What I Say Love Is, however you want to put it. B, I'll handball to you on this one and give you the new ball. You love this track, don't you?
I think you just can see my massive smile every time I think about this song. It's so different because he doesn't
oversing it, does he?
He doesn't oversing it, yes, exactly. Yeah. Until the end where he really belts it out.
Well, yeah, but he earns the right by the end of the song to do that. And it was interesting going back to our Nick Egan episode, B, that he co-hosted with you when I wasn't on that episode. He loved this song. He rated this song. It was like one that he picked out. I think we might have ranked 3 or 4 out of his favourites too. So this is one of those hidden gems that if you are a casual listener and not a deep catalogue one, as we're talking, we hope you're pressing this one on and really enjoying it, because it will pay you back in dividends.
Listen from the beginning right to the end. All
right, moving to number 3, Shine Like It Does. Again, probably the first, I would say bigger ballad, because it wasn't a big orchestral ballad. It was a very restrained acoustic sort of guitar ballad, but it was probably the first really successful ballad the band had put out. We talked about Horizons earlier. We talked about a couple of other songs on some of the earlier albums. This particular song, the end of the side 1 on The Swing, was just a fantastic sort of, melancholy, refreshing acoustic, reflective song with Kirk's really great guitar work. It stood the test of time, and again, still gets played on Australian radio to this day, despite not being a single, and was the name recently off one of the anthologies, Pete.
Great. I have a feeling it was probably one of Kel's favourite songs, because it was on the headstone for Michael's memorial.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we saw that the actual lyrics were written out.
Yeah, that's right. And now, next one is Good and Bad Times. Not to be confused, with Good Times. A bit of a weird one here, because this came out in 85, and then a year later, Good Times, the actual cover, came out in 86.
Correct.
So I know a lot of people who bought Listen Like Thieves in 86 thought that Good Times was the song on this album, but no, this is Good and Bad Times. This is, I think, a Kirk co-write with Michael. Great song, probably the heaviest that INXS ever sounds. It's got a massive sort of barrage of big, strong, chunky, thunderous sounds. Thunderous is probably the key word. It's in my top 4 songs on the album. It's one that probably, as I said, my only regret of not seeing him play live in the mid-'80s that I didn't see this played. So
yeah, they took it off their list quite quickly, didn't they?
Yeah, well, just when you throw Kick and X and all the other ones came, you got to prune from somewhere.
Yeah, true.
Next one on here, interesting beat. When I was going back to listen to our comments and adding this into our playlist yesterday on this episode, this is One by One. So, listeners, if you put this one on as we speak, I think we may have spoken between ourselves that this one had sort of the stripper song overtones with it, didn't we? Yes, it's got that da-da-da, da-da. So, but it's really a band, it's exploring their real brassy sound. So if you think of a song like Kick on the next album, this was the first big brassy INXS song, which was a forerunner to Kick. You can sort of see the early emergence of brass with the band, not just saxophone brass, but other types of brass accompaniment. Again, this song made it onto the Live Baby Live or Live Baby Live album in 91. There's a band exploring sort of their versatility, particularly on side 2 for Listen Like Thieves. They had a few interesting nuggets on side 2.
Yeah, I always thought that Kirk was self-taught the saxophone.
He was, pretty much, yeah.
But I think he was taught at school.
Maybe, yeah. But I know, in the mini-series, you sort of see him running around with it, the episodes where he's learning how to play as you go. But, all right, Bean, the last song here off the album of Listen Like Thieves is Red, Red Sun. A great finishing song to the album, a very urgent and very blistering song. Obviously, a John Farris co-write again. Just awesome song. It was a song I remember really discovering at uni some 5 or 6 years later after the album came out, re-engaging with it and loving it. And to this day, it still sort of, sits well with me. I love the One Sun Apart, One Heart Within, Red Sun Shines and the Seas No Tomorrow.
Beautiful.
I think it's just a great lyric.
Yes.
And it really opens up that sense of Australiana feel of this album. I always feel like Listen Like These is all about Australia, the outback, the beautiful Kiss the Dirt film clip, just the outdoor scenes and the lyrical imagery. So throw in the three sisters there. It's got a very lyrical imagery for Australia, this particular album. So that's Red, Red Sun. All right, we are now up to song 7 on side 2. We've got Guns in the Sky. Funnily enough, not a single, but it was nearly going to be a single. Did you know that?
It was nearly going to be. Well, they've got the video ready, didn't they?
Yeah, Michael, they wanted to get the first song off the album. The record company said, no, we want Need You Tonight, which probably was the right call in the end. But a great little film clip, B. We love the Guns in the Sky film clip.
We love it, yes. And we love the Wembley edition as well.
We do. The start of Wembley.
Yeah.
Song 8, Mediate, fantastic track. Michael in his sort of almost early rap phase there, when rap wasn't a thing. Mediate speaks for itself. It's a sort of a coda song to Need You Tonight.
Funny enough, I did a little post and Michael's singing Mediate, and he is belting it out at the end. And then Kirk, like you say, slides in with his saxophone by the side of him. And
my favourite version of Mediate is the one in Japan in 1994 for the Great Musical Experience. And
that was great.
They've got one of the Japanese guys with the big cymbals and the big percussion stuff there, and
the big gong.
And Michael's singing out there with some of the Japanese influences and the music behind it. So check that one out. And the last song on side 2, or the B side here of Emergence, is called Calling All Nations, B, which is a real happy sort of, INXS. You go down to the party, call all nations, have a good time. The name of the book, again, here's an example where a song that probably didn't jump off the album of Kick is now being sort of, I guess, used in their latest book, but it was also the name of their tour, which was an awesome sort of, use of a song that encapsulated their tour and things. So that's the end of side 2B, or side B. We call that side Emergence. We're 18 tracks in, peoples.
Ooh, okay. Breathe, everybody.
Okay, side C, we're going to call this particular side B, these 9 sort of deep dive sort of tracks, we're going to call this Confidence. To me, this is in that really sweet spot of Kick, X, and going into the Welcome phase, where the band were really musically, at the peak of their stardom, anything they touched was turning to gold. Their ability of songwriting was growing. They were starting to challenge themselves. They were getting some success and consolidating sort of where they were in sort of the public consciousness. But equally as a reminder, they didn't just want to put 4 hit songs out and a bunch of filler. These are some great tracks that just proved that the band weren't into filler, they were into killer. So the first song that we agreed on back in the day here was Kick, off the Kick album for obvious reasons. Enough said on that one, B. It was just a thumper. It still gets played today. Heavy brass, as we said earlier, but it has stood the test of time. And strangely enough for people, it was never a single. So, again, surprise, surprise.
Great song. And I love my pink T-shirt with Kick written on it. I love, love, love it. Great song.
The next one over here is The Stairs. I think if anyone who's listened to our podcast over the last 4 years would know a deep affection for this song. Technically, for the naysayers out there, it was a live single in the Netherlands only, but I'm not going to count that. Sorry, Dutchie Kerry-Ann, but we're not going to count that as an official singles release. It was just a promo track released in the Netherlands to promote Live Baby Live at the time. Shining Star was probably the bigger promo track or single off the album. But the official version of The Stairs, the whole album version, now, I know at the time we did this album, you were a bit impatient about the 1 minute 20 introduction.
I'm always impatient. I want to get to it, yeah.
A bit like Burn For You.
A bit like waiting for you to come on to record.
Yes. But a bit like Burn For You, I like that 1 minute 20 intro. It just builds up nicely and then it starts to climb and then we all know where it goes. B, the next one I'll throw to you. This is one of your favourites from Wembley particularly, song 3 on side 3.
lately. Now, this is a different intro, Ian Klein, but I can deal with this one more.
Yes, I know. You said that at the time as well, B, actually.
Did I?
You did.
All right. I haven't changed my mind then.
No, but it wasn't as long as the Stairs. But look, lately there's a thing called a middle eight, or that a band has, which often is that sort of gap between its verse chorus and then going into the final verse chorus. We have this little middle eight section, or a bridge, sometimes musicians call it. The bridge in this particular song, where it's like has the little eight, it hits the big guitar bit, is probably the payoff in the song midway through, which is worth the price of listening. People,
great song.
Next one on here, B. This was one of my favourites on the early days of X. I got a little bit worn thin after a while, but I did like it thereafter. But this was one that you put up, and I agreed was Know the Difference for you. That was played live at Wembley. Tell us your memories of this for you.
Well, the Wembley, definitely, where he comes down into the audience, doesn't he? If I remember rightly, and Know the Difference. It's very laid back. It's a bit naughty. I like it. It's great.
I think there's the line, you've got instinct, you've got class, why don't you leave that guy in his ass?
Yeah.
Good intentions, I want to know. Like, it's one of those great sort of Michael sort of lyrics and vocal deliveries. It takes us towards the end of the album. Hear That Sound, which is one of the big climbers and the great sort of next song for the album.
Love John, what he did with the drums in this one.
Yeah, so it worked really well on the X Factor tour. Veering into song number, what have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Communication, B. We're going to the welcome stuff here now. What an innovative song at the time we spoke about, with all the studio wizardry and things.
Love this song as well. And it's like the beginning of the album as well, isn't it? So I
think it's song 3 off Welcome.
Yeah.
And I think the thing with this particular song, it's such a relevant song 32 years later, with the word disinformation and the media and, the bombardment back in the early 90s that's only just got bigger with social media, and it really does lyrically stand up today as well as musically.
Yeah, great song again.
All right.
You haven't missed Deepest Red, have you?
Well, Deepest Red, you couldn't find it to add to the Spotify playlist.
No, but we can still talk about it.
We can still talk about it. Well, we might save that little nugget to the end. But,
all right.
But look, we'll go to the next one, which is one of your favourites, B, Strange Desire. Okay. We love this song, not only because it's probably Michael at his most sort of sexually charged best. Lyrically here, obviously, B's fanning her head at the moment. All right. But Gary's bass on this is something to behold.
Yes.
Song when you get to song 11 on an album, I think this was the second last song on Welcome before Men and Women. But what a rip snorter, and it's got some really great, cowbell / sort of, salsa type music behind it. It's very rhythmic, but it's very funky. It's very musical.
It's very much like one that's coming later, Your Roses Down.
Right.
It's got that deep bass in there, hasn't it? It's very similar.
Yeah. Yeah. Strange Desire is, again, probably one of my sort of top 5 out of all of these, I would say.
Yeah.
The next one we'll go to that you were very big on, B, and so was I, at the time, but you really pushed hard for this one, was Questions, which such an interesting sort of mystical song opening up a brand new album like Welcome.
It was so different, wasn't it?
Yeah. And this is
magical. And it was Andrew singing.
Andrew vocal. I mean, there is a Michael vocal on some of the repackages and some of the B-sides, but this is actually an Andrew vocal, and it sets up things really nicely before Heaven Sent. So, a great little innovation for the band, and hence the word confidence growing into their musicianship here. So
that again?
That one. I had a B moment there. Musicianship.
Didn't you? I quite like it. I'm going to leave it in.
And the last one on side C here, I've got Days of Rust, which was the opener.
Bloody brilliant.
Opener for Full Moon. Great aggressive lyric. It's got a bit of a big audio dynamite sort of musical sound to it around that particular era. But aggressive vocal. Michael's vocals are right up front and personal. I just love the line. They say these days have made a rust, counted out and lost. If this album had been successful, it was such an up yours to everybody who were trying to write us off. I always liked this anthem as an opening track to the album.
Yeah, and I can imagine, because I never went to see them at this point, but I can imagine the interaction with the fans, like singing it with them.
Yeah, and this was the first, I saw this song played live, at the Palace in Melbourne. before this album was out, and they played 8-9 songs off Full Moon before they'd even been released and recorded. And this was the first one. And I just remember being in the audience going, wow, I really like this, and I can't wait to see what this sounds like on the album. And then you forget it, but once the album comes out and you hear it, you go, oh, wow, that's up front and first, awesome,
Excellent.
So that's the 9 songs on side C or 3, whatever you want to call it, labelled Confidence,
Right.
B. All right. Bring it home. We're on to side D now. The title, the adjective for this particular theme side here is versatility. These 9 tracks really show the band at its versatile best on these deep dive tracks. Now, the first one here we're going to put up is mixed by Brian Eno, along with the production techniques of Mark Opitz, but it's I'm Only Looking, which, B, we both love this one off the album. And the film clip's fantastic, isn't it?
Right. Great. It's a real tingle, goosebumpy song.
Yeah. I look, we can only encourage listeners to go watch the film clip to this after you maybe listen to this episode. And the way the camera sort of zeroes in and it does almost a Martin Scorsese sort of technique where the camera follows down the stairwell around the nightclub into the strip rooms and all the other areas and back to the bar, and the band are in different spots. It's one of the most innovative film clips the band have had for a video.
I'm sure I heard the other day that it was filmed in St Kilda. Is that right?
Yep. It could have been. I think they filmed a few of them down there. Cut Your Roses, which is coming up soon, was filmed in St Kilda at the George sort of theatre cafe sort of area there. Mm-hmm. But that one, I'm Only Looking, could have been filmed there as well.
Yeah.
A lot of, for those who don't know, the whole Full Moon Dirty Hearts album, there was a thing called the Full Moon Dirty Hearts Visual Experience, where all 12 songs had videos. A couple of songs had 2 or 3 videos, like Please You Got That, because they put the Ray Charles video version in. But there were sometimes some multiple videos for some tracks. But a lot of that was young filmmakers helped that the band gave a chance to create. And there's some young actors like Ben Mendelsohn in the Full Moon Dirty Hearts film clip on that particular visual who went on to Hollywood fame. All right, the second song here, B, a lovely ode and ballad here, Kill the Pain. Tell us about your thoughts on that one.
Beautiful song, which was recreated in the original, what is it called? Original Sins, that came out a couple of years ago.
Yeah, we did a review on. We did a bit of a co-promotion with the website.
Yeah, and they did a really good version of that as well. I didn't think you could top it, but it was pretty close.
It's such a I mean, if you have the word kill and pain in a song, it's hard to sell that.
Quite emotive.
It's hard to sell that. Yeah. But in terms of an absolute ballad, I mean, it's right up there with the best INXS ballads,
Yeah.
All right, next one, B, you mentioned before, Cut Your Roses Down. Again, filmed in St Kilda. Obviously got the funky bass, and it's a song about fascists, is what Michael used to say around the time. It's a song about fascists and things.
Okay,
so
all right.
I don't really
Not gardening.
No. It was, again, I think song 10 on Full Moon, and such a handy, funky sort of thing, and such a hooky sort of song as well, which, again, made it to our list. Song 4 here on this side DB, Viking Juice, B. Now, we had a lot of fun when we spoke about this on our episode. Tell us about your memories of Viking Juice.
It's funny enough, we was talking about Viking Juice. Has my friend Sarah left me this morning? So Sarah is a really good friend of mine who I've converted into an INXS fan. Yes. And she's been on the journey. I think you've met Sarah, haven't you?
I have, yes.
Yeah. And she just picked up a van to go around Australia, and she's getting it converted. So she got this massive van. Anyway, she rode off and she says, I'm going to be listening to Viking Juice because that's my on the road song as well.
And as Mark Opitz said, Viking Juice refers to a cool little late night liqueur type thing in Italy. Right. Plenty of late night enjoyment sessions on the Isle of Capri were had with that particular concoction of drink. All right, moving along. We're moving into the Allegedly Waste phase. We've got Show Me Cherry Baby. The song, I think, was an ode to Flame Fortune, a little dalliance Michael had in the 80s, and I think went up to Mark Opitz saying, can you produce this girl? I think she'll be great. And I think Mark afterwards said, don't ever refer anyone to me again without me vetoing them or vetting them.
Okay. Yeah, it's a bit of a sad story because
it is.
Flame actually lost her life. But
this was the opening sort of album track to Allegedly Wasted, and it's got such a big sound, and it's got a nice way they interplay the chorus with the verse, and they mix it up a little bit. Again, I think this is one of those ones, repeat listenings will give you a reward, even if you're not sure the first time around. Okay, next one on there, B. How do we give this justice? Just a Man.
Just a man.
Or I'm just a man,
Yes. it's just about Michael and his family and what they mean to him and what he means to them.
Yep. A big kudos to the Dr. Jim,
Foundation
charity that he has, which he's named it after that.
Yeah.
Look, I think if you ever want to hear Michael at his rawest and where he was at in his last years of his life, this song will bare his soul for you and just totally, maybe just share his thoughts and feelings at the time about people important to him, which is great. So,
and I just love the intro to this more than the whole of the actual song. The intro is just so intriguing.
But there's no pretensions on this. We're going to tell the waste and the versatility. The one difference from Full Moon, musically speaking, they've come off Welcome and Full Moon, which were both very experimental. But by the time I got to Elegantly Wasted, it was 4.5 years later. And, Andrew, I remember saying, what is this thing called INXS? What are we? Let's not, we've explored, we've experimented things before, but let's be our true DNA and let's just, construct really crafty, well-constructed songs that mean something emotionally. And the one thing about Elegantly Wasted is every song on there, I really believe, comes from the heart. Some of the other albums, and I love Welcome, I love Full Moon, they're right up there with me, but those songs from the heart, so to speak, they were very, very clever albums and things like that. But Elegantly Wasted were very heartfelt, tracks like Everything, Just a Man's one of these particular ones, Building Bridges, that we'll get to in a moment. But I think Just a Man is the most sort of heartfelt song that probably the band's ever put out.
Yeah.
All right. Next one there, probably continuing the theme, is We Are Thrown Together, B. That really was, Michael and Paul are being chased by the media, trying to sort of find a way, get their head above water. There's such an urgency to this song. And I know Pedro is a bit of a champion of this particular song. And, for me, this is a top 3-4 song on the album, and a top 10, 15 of all time. Like, it's just fantastic.
Yeah. I think you can find yourself in this lyric.
Yeah. Oh, look, you can listen to this song as anyone in the world and relate to it.
Relate to this song.
Superimpose your life into this song.
You can. You can.
That's a really good point. The next one, B, Shake the Tree. I think I've gone back and retrospectively added this one in, snuck this in. So admissions on that one.
What did I say? Did I say put it in and you said no?
We had a bit of an argument about this one or Girl on Fire at the time, and we ended up not putting either in. But
I would have put the whole album in anyway. I know. Me.
Look, this one on here, I love the heaviness. It's probably the most heaviest song since Good and Bad Times. I love the rattlesnakes. I love the lyric. I love the sort of vocals and the musicianship. And it's unlike anything they've really done before. And it's thunderous. And I just remember hearing this going, wow, what a journey and what a leap here. Particularly, given it comes, I think, just after Thrown Together, it's such a jump in sound. It really strengthens the side B or the second side of Elegantly Wasted. So something my heart couldn't let it go. So I out of everything, B, I've snuck this one on, even though you were close to accepting it at the time. So I'll call this a captain's call.
Okay.
Right. The next one, though, B, wrapping up our list, the ninth song on this particular side D of versatility. I'll let you talk about it. It's Building Bridges. I know it's a special one for you.
Very beautiful. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a connection of when I started to speak to Tim as well. So there's a massive connection there. But the guitars, for a start, in the middle of it as well. Yeah. It's just a phenomenal piece of craftsmanship of music. Yeah.
It starts off to me, it's like a wave. It starts really slow, like a ripple. It then climbs up this big wave. Then it comes down the other side. And
you're holding your breath with it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the middle of the song. And there's definitely, I think, a bit of an ode to Bob Geldof in terms of frustration and issues at the time. And are you comfortable in your skin? I think it's a bit of a dagger for him. It was a truth that Michael felt, and that was his truth, and that's what he expressed, and that's where it sort of came from, I think, at the time. But, musically, it's one of these sort of quiet ones that then climbs and then quietly finishes off, and you feel it like the end of it, you go, whoof.
Oof, I know.
I need a cigarette after that.
I know. The funny thing is that we finish this and we go back to side A and get back on a bus.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you mentioned that. Like, let's just pause and let's just compare. We go, okay, we've been on this little journey today on a bus where that was at, this little breezy 2-minute 50 pop song, to to basically climaxing here with Building Bridges. What a journey of songs here. We've got these 36 songs. We've got side A, Innocence, side B, Emergence, side C, Confidence, side D, Versatility, and these 36 songs. None of these were singles. None of these are in the charts. None of these songs were particularly sort of, as I said, on greatest hits or anything like that because they weren't singles. But here's what you would call 36 quality album tracks and deep dive tracks that, are the very embodiment of why I love the band. And I think you love the band and many of our listeners love the band because they were all about trying to have as much killer and as little filler as possible when they put an album out. And not all their contemporaries could actually look in the mirror and say they did that. There are plenty of bands out there, work their ass off, put 3 or 4 killer songs out and the rest were drib and drab. INXS weren't that.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a band not only learn their instruments and learn to put more lyrics out, but they're growing as humans. The soul is being put into these songs. Their life journey is into these songs. So by the time you get to D, it's not about versatility, but also maturity.
That's right.
There was something else that I got speaking to Sarah about. She's been listening to a podcast about Queen, and she said it's been very interesting because they fell out so many times.
Yeah.
And she says, and when I listened to your podcast, INXS, credit to them, they stuck together for so many years and come out with all these incredible songs. Yeah,
that's right. And look, they had their arguments and different things like that, but effectively, 6 band members together for 20 years, and I think it's a reflection of our Australian values about mateship and loyalty and teamwork and sticking together and no one here, is bigger than the next guy. Michael drove that, and I think if anything, Michael probably, as we know, his solo career and even the band probably were held back in some respects because maybe that, Michael was so important at maintaining a democracy and a levelness that every person was equal. In a weird way, the band could have been more successful and more financial if Michael had have been a diva, if you actually think about it.
Yeah.
Because everybody in the world wanted to interview Michael. Everybody in the world wanted to talk to him and, chat to him and elevate him ahead of the band. But Michael handbraked his own, sense of entitlement for the sake of the band, which in a weird way probably could have, diminished the band's, potential to grow even higher. Now, again, we often compare, INXS with U2. U2 really is Bono and The Edge, and the other two really are sort of back up in the public consciousness. For INXS, it was 6 guys. But, for U2, it's really Bono and The Edge and Bono pretty much, in terms of flying the flag. If Michael had been less self-consciously selfless, if that makes sense to listeners, and been sort of, the opposite to that and been sort of more selfish and more individualistic, the band probably could have even been bigger because the band would have flown on his coattails. But also, too, equally, our DNA as Australians isn't to elevate oneself ahead of someone else next to them. It's about, we're all equal, born equal, we'll hang out, we're all mates. If you're in a footy team or a sporting team, yeah, there's always a champion player, but it's all about the team. And that's just our ethos down here and why probably it helped them stay together for so long.
And kudos to them for being all over the world, Australia and in England for the last album as well.
Yep,
and still getting a quality album out there that's, to me, is their best album.
Which one, Elegantly Wasted, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, well, B, we're going to wrap that up. Look, we hope our listeners have enjoyed it. And if you are going back and listening to this episode again or wanted to check it out another time, again, put the playlist on as you go along. It's a really cool idea B suggested earlier. And you can play it at your own rate as we talk about the tracks and interact it yourself at your own rate. But look, what we would encourage you to do is a bit of homework. Why don't you do this over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks? Why don't you just play this Spotify playlist in your car, when you're at the gym, when you're walking, on the way to picking up the kids, as you're going to bed at night time, got friends over for beers this weekend or for wine, put it in the backdrop at home when friends are over for a dinner party. I hope some people around you go, oh, who's that band? That's a good song. Who are that? Oh, yeah, they're INXS. Oh, really? I don't know that song. Yeah, I know. You should. Now you do.
Yes, share it. It's worth sharing, guys.
Absolutely. Give it a whirl. I'm going to do it myself, B.
Now you know how to do it.
All I need to know is now how to open up a Spotify playlist, and I will finish that course after this call.
And you never know, we might come back next week and we might add another one if we get told by you guys that you want to put a certain one in.
Well, look, we can always have that discussion. I think this is sort of our official list. One of the tracks you mentioned earlier that we wanted to put in, but we couldn't really put it in, and we didn't put it in at the time. But it is a song that we do love. It is on the X expanded version, reissued in 2002. And that's Deepest Red, which is a song that we've spoken about a lot over the journey. Probably one of the great non-album tracks that never made it to an official album release. Some of you know it, some of you don't. It is a B-side of Heaven Sent, and it is a song that John Farris is particularly proud of that probably should have made it onto X, but maybe he was quoted, I don't know. But again, it wasn't an official album. Another one we did talk about B off the Elegantly Wasted was the Let It Ride song, which we mentioned at the time was on the Japan edition only.
Yeah.
A great musical track as well. So they're two particular ones that, we dangled and thought about adding in. But at the moment, we've got four sides of 9 each. A chunky 36 sort of tracks there. Do yourself a favour, play it loud, play it proud, and play it to anyone who's in your company. And a bit like that scene from the movie High Fidelity. Now, I don't know if you know this movie, High Fidelity. It's based on a Nick Hornby book the movie's got John Cusack in it.
Yeah.
I think it's made by Stephen Frears. But it's a guy in a music store in Chicago. He has a sidekick called Jack Black, who you might know works in the music store.
Yes.
And there's another guy who works in the music store, and they go, do you want to sell some Bell and Sebastian records? And they go, yeah. And they put it on, okay? And suddenly they put this record on, and there's 2 or 3, 4 people who are in the record store start sort of dancing and moving around. Go, who's that? And he goes, it's the Bell and Sebastian, such as that. And they go, it's good. And John Cusack says, I know. So it's a really good scene. Subtly play this list anywhere you go. And I just want, when people turn around and go, who's that? What's that song? Go, it's INXS.
Yes.
Cool. B, thank you for indulging me with another chance to share the list, but thank you for helping put the list together.
No worries. Well, hello and welcome back to Fan Engagement with my little gorgeous friend from Florida, Danielle. How you doing over there?
Well, hello, beautiful B. I'm doing wonderful. Excited to see you today. It's been a few minutes, but excited.
We had a couple of weeks off, didn't we? And now we've got a pile of things to get through. And first of all, we've got to acknowledge that we now have topped over 11,000 fans following us on Facebook, which is a massive achievement. So thank you, everybody, for following us and share so we can get this message out. I think you've got a few names to mention there, haven't you, Danielle?
I do. So we've got 3 new top fan engagers this week, one being Mr. Sean, Diane, and Liz. Facebook's kind of doing a new thing right now and showing us the names of these top engagers. And so if you want to get your name on one of these lists so that we can call you out, start following us, start looking through our posts and stuff. And I'd also like to say hello to Linda, Karen, Clement, Diane, and Lewis. You were also one of our some of our top engagers this week. And then, as always, I'd love to say thank you so much for signing up for the newsletter that we put out, once a week. Thank you for the website. So this week it's Norm, Paul, Leslie, Amber, and it's JR or Junior. But thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Well, welcome to the podcast, guys. It's great to hear your names read out there, and I hope you're enjoying that newsletter. There's a lot of love and work going to that. And if you ever feel that you want to come on board and help us, just get in touch. You can always get in touch with us via the website, and you can get in touch with us via email too, which is INXSAAA@gmail.com. Okay, we're going to just go into some of our posts. I think we've got a big birthday for Paula Yates this week. She would have turned 65, bless her. So, yeah, lovely to see that there's a bit of love going on there. I know some of you still have a few problems there with Paula, but please, guys, this is the mother of Michael's child. So please be careful of what you say on Facebook.
Yeah, just have some respect. Michael did love Paula, and Paula loved him. And, like we said, they produced a beautiful young woman that is a walking twin of Michael. Just be respectful, guys. That's all we ask.
But going back to the post is of Paula and Michael, the very first time they met on the tube. The chemistry is unreal, undeniable. It's just oozing. It's just awesome to see them so happy to see each other for the very first time, I should say. And I think there's a couple of likely lads in the background that I do know of, which is our gorgeous Gary Lilly. So hi to Gary too.
Yes, and as someone pointed out today on the Facebook, Michael's lisp is exponential on this one.
Never mind the tight trousers. And what was that? Someone said trousers isn't a word that you say in Australia. Yeah, you're correct there. It's not a word that we say much out here that much. It's pants. We call them pants. And obviously in England, pants are knickers and knickers are pants. Anyway, let's stop going through backwards and forwards with that, because yes, I have incredible problems sometimes with that and get myself right into trouble. Never mind talking about routing. Do you know what routing is? If I say, oh, I'm going to take that route. Yeah, a route means to have a shag.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess you do kind of root around.
Anyway, moving swiftly on. Let's go to a few other posts that we did. It was also another birthday for Samantha Jade, who was the actress who played Kylie Minogue in the gorgeous mini-series. I hope you guys got to see that. I know lots of you are scrambling to find it, especially the international crowd there. You can find them on YouTube. Sorry, not YouTube. You can find them on eBay now and again, but maybe there might be a black market out there somewhere. So yeah, maybe ask around on the search for INXS with Pedro and David. They might be able to scramble some things together for you, maybe. But great post. Did you have any interaction with that post?
I did. And a cute lady named Sarah was actually an extra on the miniseries.
Oh,
how fun is that?
Oh, very.
Yeah. Wish I had that part. It says all of the cast played their parts so well and created such a fun environment on the set. And then she goes on to say, these two definitely had amazing chemistry. And because you can't see what we're looking at right now, it was a picture of Luke Arnold and Samantha Jade kind of kissing against a wall. And so it's kind of cute to know that there was some chemistry on the set.
Yeah. It'd be great to get them two on together, wouldn't it? Hey?
I know.
When the time comes. Yeah. Oh, mind speaking to Luke. I think we spoke to Luke early on, and he did say that he would come on the show, but I should imagine he's a very busy man. So we'll get you on one day, hopefully. I'm talking about Michael again and the devil inside. We did find a little bit of footage of him being a bit naughty on stage, pouring water over Tim's head. Not sure about that with electric guitars, Michael, but he probably needed a bit of a douse. Also pushing Kirk off stage. He really had the devil inside with him in that footage there. It was quite funny, but we got another engager, Renee. What did she have to say?
Well, Renee was very lucky to be able to say that she saw him live 3 times, and she goes into to say how she met Michael once, kissed him once, and he wore a necklace that she had given him that had a fancy whistle attached. My former concert whistle, since I can't whistle loud, is what she said, which he wore and used often. Oh my goodness. I can't even put into words the energy that man had. If you stood beside him, let alone, and had no space between you, it was palpable. He was just a man, I suppose, but on that stage, he was a phenomenon. No one else could compare. I miss him so much. He literally changed me. We agree, Renee, in all of those.
Oh, Renee, what a lucky lady to have got that close to him.
You know, if I had that whistle, I'd probably be taking it to some lab to expel some DNA out of that one.
I know you would. Also, we found some photos. Well, I didn't find them, actually. Darren Jones, who was on the show last week, gave me some photos of when he went to Tokyo and went to the temple where I sent a message. And some of you really liked that picture. But we just want to say that Hayden did mention it was in Hong Kong. It was in Tokyo. Thank you very much for those people that have told us about that. I've got a friend over there called Angela. Hello, Angela. She's enjoying the temple as we speak. And you mentioned a lady called Jill to me earlier.
Yeah, Jill, who is one of our patrons. She's one of our top fans. I don't know her personally, but just in all the INXS Michael Hutchins groups, you get to know these people over the years. But she actually answered the whole question correctly. And as far as I know, she's actually been to that temple. She's been to a lot of INXS sites, actually. So congratulations, Jill, on getting the answer correct.
I want to also give a big shout out to a friend of the podcast. He's on many of our platforms. He's one of our top fans is Dean Whedon. Dean came onto the post. Well, he comes onto many posts, but came onto the post about the Full Moon Dirty Hearts post that we put out. He said, Freedom Deep is an underrated soulful track from their whole catalogue, in my opinion. The Gift and Time get a lot of attention from the album, but absolutely love Freedom Deep. So he's a Freedom Deep fan. Everyone can relate to it at some stage in their life. The clip is also fantastic. Well done, Dean, for all your engagement. And also you share a lot of our things as well. So thank you for that.
So B, I don't know if you saw the other day, we have not put it on our socials, but it was in another group, and it was somebody obviously took a picture of someone on a TV interviewing for Coachella. So it wasn't actually at Coachella, but whoever this woman is, and we're all trying to figure that out, she was actually wearing an INXS Kick t-shirt during the interview.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So if you come on board and tell us all about that, we want to know.
Yeah. I mean, obviously her taste in music is impeccable. But yeah, you don't really see too many artists wearing, INXS shirts. They always wear, the name brands, as I call them.
Yeah. Well, Rob Thomas was wearing one not so long ago, wasn't he, in concert when he was here in Australia? Him and I think one of the other band members. But more importantly, this is the bit I've been waiting to tell everybody about. And just released today is a great photo of Kirk's new look. Now, you came across this, didn't you, under a pile of photographs that his daughter had posted on Instagram. Tell us more.
Kirk's daughter, April, she's obviously, with being a soap star and probably model and all kinds of TV for you guys down there. She has, Instagram and stuff, but she was celebrating some belated birthdays with her new fiance, her mother, Karen, her father, Kirk, and their, respected partners, Lane, and I don't know Karen's partner's name, but anyway, I had to kind of look over this picture several times and go, wait a second. The mustache and the little chin thing kind of looks familiar, but the blonde does not look familiar. Kirk's gone blonde, everybody.
No, and he's rocking it.
He is.
It took me a while at first. It's like, hang on, when did he do that? Because he looks younger. It looks great, Kirk. You look amazing. Keep it. I love it. So
he looks like a rock star.
He looks brilliant. It really does. No, I hope he can keep that up. Try bleaching the moustache, maybe. No. But yeah, it's like a retrospect of John in the elegantly wasted years, isn't it?
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe something has come about. Maybe it was a dare. Maybe it was for some sort of cause, whatever it may be. But yeah, Kirk's rocking it.
He's definitely rocking it. And I think even the moustache looked a bit chunkier than normal as well. So yeah, loved it. Lovely. And I loved your outfit too, Lane. You looked beautiful.
Yes, she did.
I think that's it. We can wrap this up. Thank you, everybody, for engaging. Keep it coming. We absolutely love you all. Well, we'll speak to each other again soon, Danielle.
All right, beautiful bee.
All right, Bill, that's a wrap. We're very excited to, get another episode down, 184. A little bit of exciting news, B. We have got approval, actually, from a good friend of the podcast who's going to come on as a guest in the next couple of weeks, John Lamoureux from The Hustle in America, who some of you know, or myself personally, went onto his podcast. And I think we put it back on one of our episodes, but he is going to come on and have a chat to us about music. And he's been a great champion of Australian music, and particularly INXS in his time, and has interviewed Andrew before and things. But we're going to come on and have a bit of a deep dive about music and live music and INXS and things.
He's been a bit of a mentor for you, hasn't he?
He was the guy who motivated me to come up
you.
and inspired me to create a podcast. Yeah. So I won't hide from that. When I listened to John for about 6 to 12 months, I'm like, he was so self-effacing and often talking about, the ups and downs of putting a podcast together, but he made me believe it was possible. So, we'll definitely pay homage to him with that when he comes on. But we're going to get straight to our tribute songs or our exit songs today. We thought we would go out with a bit of a double barrel A and B side today. We've sort of played, we've mentioned the 36 songs that are there. We alluded towards the end of that 36 songs, there were a couple of tracks that didn't make it on, but we feel they're important sort of songs to reference in the canon. So we're going to go out with a little bit of a half a version or half amount of the song of Deepest Red. We're going to play about half of Also Let It Ride as a little bit of a tribute song to the depth of the material, evidence that even these great tracks could even make it onto albums, but are worthy additions to this theme today, which is deep cuts and deep dives. So, B, it's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from B. Goodbye, everybody.